Hello again. This is Garrett Bays. The piece of music that I have playing in the background, forgive my German, is Miklos Rocha's Sonate für Clavier. I'm trying to go by, I think it's just his Sonata for Solo Piano, Opus 20. And this is from Koch Records recording. I think they're the brand. But it's from his CD, The Complete Works for Solo Piano. Anyway, now that that's been announced. So, yes, here I am, back with, I'm going to finish off my series of Star Wars videos, with discussing the collection, the version that I own, that I prefer, and all, but more so this will be about the soundtrack releases as well. So, I've stated probably in the first video, maybe I don't remember which one, I haven't gone back to them for a while, but I'm pretty sure I stated in my first video that I prefer the original versions. I do not like the special editions, be it the ones that originally were when they came out, or even after I don't like it. I don't like any of them. So, the ones that I primarily watch are, let's see if I can get this in order for these ones right here, and that is backwards. I apologize. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, these are shown backwards because of the way I have the camera. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't see myself recording if I have it turned the correct direction, so I'm sorry. That's the way it is. Anyway, so yeah, these DVD releases, which came out in 2004, I believe is what it says. No, it says 2006. So yeah, 2006. And I'm not sure how hard these are to find. I know when I purchased some used for a former coworker, because they have these have the special editions. I got them for about maybe 25 bucks, but that was quite a few years ago. They might have changed by now because there's no way to get the original versions in widescreen except on those DVD sets or the laser discs, which those DVDs, from what I understand, the original versions are from the same laser disc set that were released. And though they actually look pretty good, I mean, from what little I looked at to see when we purchased a new television, it thankfully, because you got these versions, not the special editions, the original versions are not anamorphic. So if you want them to fit your screen, you got to blow it up. Otherwise, you can just look at a tiny widescreen film in a little box, and I hate that. On my old TV, though, it would cut off maybe an inch or two on the top and the bottom. Since then, we've had to replace our TV because that one backlight went out, but it was getting a few years old anyway. This one that we have does not do that, so I'm looking forward to watching these films on this TV. And the picture quality surprisingly looked pretty good. I don't know how, but maybe it's the HDR enhancement. I'm not sure. But those are the ones I prefer. They do not have the special editions because they did have the special editions in these. They were 2-disc sets. Long story with that. I'll try and make it as short as I can. We had an older player. It was an all-region Panasonic brand player. But from the day we first got it, it did not want to play every single DVD we had, despite the fact being an all-region player and it could handle any DVD. You had sometimes trick it if you wanted to play a picture, otherwise it just wouldn't play it at all, if it didn't like it. And the special editions, I don't say unfortunately, because I never watched them. My wife was never sure, so she wanted to watch them one time before finally deciding, but she couldn't watch them, so we threw the discs away. The only reason I looked at them because of the commentary. Well, after it seemed like that the player was even having problems with 4K discs, which were just fine, there was nothing wrong with them, no scratches whatsoever, we said, okay, fine, we have not had this in for a year yet, it's got to go. And thank God I managed to get my money back, because with Amazon they only have 30 months. And I know the people weren't even going to give us our whole money back. They were just going to give me $125 back. I'd been paying it on a plan, so it's not like I paid the full amount anyway. Whatever the reason happened, I'm not questioning it. I'm happy I got all the money back. And we ended up purchasing a Sony All Region 1, and I could already tell it was better because that thing is heavy. That Sony player is very, very heavy and wide and huge. I can't even fit movies on that shelf anymore it belongs. The old player we had, very dinky, very light. You could toss it. You could toss it too, but I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway, so any of these DVDs that didn't work on the old player work on this one, so we're like, oh, all the money we've lost now on these, because I even had like DVD of Cocoon, which I only kept, even though we got a German release of the Blu-ray, because if you want to try and get an American Blu-ray Cocoon, fat chance unless you want to pay $200 or something. But overseas you can get it for a good price, but there's no features on it. So I kept the DVD because it had the features. Well, of course, old player didn't want to play it, and I guess I could get the DVD for a cheap price. It wasn't that expensive, but it's frustrating. Back to Star Wars. I apologize. So yeah, that's the situation with the Star Wars films. Only thankfully the original ones still worked, and if they didn't, I wouldn't get rid of them anyway because I probably would have figured some player would like them. So now we get to the soundtracks, which frankly I'm a little more looking forward to. I did not get these in the correct order. So as most of you know, these had LP releases. The first Star Wars soundtrack was a two record LP. So was Empire Strikes Back. I've listened to the 2 LP Star Wars soundtrack. I borrowed it from the library when I went to Central Washington University. They actually had a program where you could borrow quite a few LPs, some of them which are out of print. So that was exciting. They did not have Empire Strikes Back. However, that's not a problem anymore. We'll get to that. The only one I managed to get my hands on, it was the only one I really wanted at the time, because here is Return of the Jedi. Again, sorry, it's backwards. I wanted this one because I knew it had the original. What is the name of that track? Lati Nek, if that's how it's pronounced, and of course the Ewok celebration and finale. Because I could not stand. I never did watch the special. I've seen the special edition of Star Wars, the original special editions, I should say. When they were first released of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. I never did watch Return of the Jedi. I'm very grateful I did not, because I gotta check the time, because I don't know why I didn't, but I'm glad I didn't, because that stupid, what's it called? It just says Jabba's Baroque recital. It's not even Baroque. But the redone Jabba Baroque recital. And I think I heard the soundtrack released first. I think I heard from the soundtrack first. I don't know how order events. All I know is that I never did see the Return of the Jedi special edition, and I'm glad I didn't. I think I did see previews of that terrible animated party sequence, whatever you want to call it. I did not know that the Ewok celebration had been redone until I purchased the expanded soundtrack, and I was not impressed. I hated, especially Jabba's song. I'm surprised how many times I listened to that damn thing. I don't listen to it anymore, but I didn't like the new Ewok celebration. I really miss the old song, the old melody, even though it sounds a lot like Sesame Street. As a kid, I always thought it seemed to sound like the old theme to Wheel of Fortune, but even though I watched Sesame Street as a kid, but for some reason I kind of disassociated one melody from the other. I don't know. Later years, I found out that it sounds more like Sesame Street. But just the same, I always enjoyed it a lot more, and of course this LP has it. Of course, it's a single LP program. I know I mentioned something about that in the Return of the Jedi liner notes for the 1997 release. Mainly because I think orchestral soundtracks here. It's not gonna be hard to find. So. Okay, here we are. By 1983, however, the vinyl format was beginning its demise, and uncertainty about the future Viability of soundtracks dictated the release of one LP for Jedi instead of two. So, yeah, that was the reason why. And granted, there's a lot less music compared to the LP, the two LP releases of Empire and Star Wars. But I think what they had on there was substantial enough, because it's just a lot of the score tends to drag for Return of the Jedi. And we'll go into more of that later too. So, yeah, the LP releases, we have those. Then in 1993, Arista Records, yes, that's what it was, came out with that marvelous box set that had all three films, including a fourth disc that had certain cues they couldn't fit on that they added to the other CDs with the original program, the original soundtrack program. But odd thing is, this fourth disc, is this one? Yeah, has stuff on here was not even on the expanded soundtracks. And of course, I didn't know any of this, although I thought I read something. But for years, because I had no intention on owning this set. Once the 1997 releases came out, that was it. You know, to me, they had all the music on there, and then some. Then I found out I was wrong. You're not missing a lot, but it's still, you know, worthwhile. So you can't see these very faintly. You know, oh well, you know, you can just see them. But yeah, you know, I don't have the box because what happened was, is this a score? That's a score. What happened was that I got these, I guess, I don't know if you want to say by accident or something, but my co-worker I have now, my current job location, he was cleaning out his basement, and he's a big Star Wars fan. I mean, big. He likes even all of these crappy Star Wars shows that come out that I have no interest in. His kind of go beyond. My Star Wars just is more contained with the original trilogy and more Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. I'll say stuff about Return of the Jedi because, you know, I've watched it many times, but it's nowadays just not my favorite one. Anyway, so he was giving me some CDs. He gave me 2 boxes worth, and naturally, some of the CDs he had contained not just these versions, but even the '97 releases. Well, a funny thing happened. So I already had the '97 releases, the 2-disc versions of all 3 movies, and I was going to go through each CD to see which ones, because they'd been in his basement forever, so some of them suffered some corrosion or moisture damage. Thankfully, none of these did. A little bit, but they play fine. I played them. But I was going through the CDs to kind of see which ones were salvageable, which ones were not, that I could get to maybe a store or something, or see if I could even get exchanged for something else. And I'll be right back. Anyway, so I think I looked through these ones here, and I saw that Star Wars had theirs. Empire Strikes Back did not. Of course, Return of the Jedi did, and so did the 4th CD. So I'm going, uh-oh, maybe I don't have this set. And I was about to just get rid of it, because I'm thinking, well, no point in keeping the other ones. You know, I'd like to have The Empire Strikes Back. But I noticed as I was going through the '97 versions, they didn't have their discs at all. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. If Star Wars doesn't have... Okay, and I opened The Empire Strikes Back 2-disc set. There it was, the single disc for these releases. But the '97 versions were disappeared. Not that matter, I already had them. So I'm thinking, well, that was convenient. And sure, sound quality is different from the '97 version. In many ways, obviously, I prefer the '97 versions, but I kept these because also the 4th disc has stuff on it that is not on the other CDs. Just a few snippets here and there, and also the Ewok celebration you hear in the film is represented on disc 4, because what you hear on the that's this one. What you hear on the LP of the Ewok celebration was clearly probably redone for album purposes. You hear, you know, the Ewoks primarily, and I think an English choir comes at the very end of the song. In the film, you hear a much more mature sounding kind of Ewok sound. Uh, though I think the mature sound people are singing the song in English. I later discovered there were two different sets of lyrics used. Uh, like the Ewoks have their lyrics, and then uh, I, I I don't remember what the Ewoks are saying, but the English translation, if you will, is "Celebrate the Love." I'm thinking, you know what? I think it was better off not knowing what they were saying because the lyrics are so cheesy. But the choir sounds good, so it's kind of easy to overlook. Um, but anyway, so yeah, we have those releases. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. I had to respond to a message. Anyway, so I lost my train of thought. So yeah, those releases came out in 1993, and anyway, oh yeah, there's different end credits for like Empire Strikes Back something. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. It seems so minimal. But the sound quality on them is good. I don't really care for the fact that they didn't quite put the tracks in chronological order, and they just kind of seem to mix them in with the program edits of the cues, how they were on the original soundtracks. It seemed kind of odd the way it was, but at the time, it was the most music you could ever get from Star Wars. I know there was a polygram release. I remember seeing that in a library, Tumwater Library over here. And there was it Tumwater Library? I think it was. And this was at the time where they used to have a lot more CDs, some of them which were also out of print, but they didn't keep them in good condition. And I remember seeing a 2-disc release. And I think it might have been a reissue of the Star Wars LP itself, but they put on 2 CDs because of what, it was from the 80s, so they could only put so much on disc at the time. But it might have been missing some cues, because I know when they put the Superman LP on a CD for the first time, 2 cues were omitted because they couldn't fit that much time on a CD or something. Though it seemed like it was 70 minutes. And La La Land managed to put it all on one disc. I don't know, for their reissue. So then 1997, and this was my introduction to the Star Wars soundtracks ever. Wrong one. Where are you? Oh, there it is. Get these marvelous sets here. This was my first one. The case is different. The case got horribly damaged. The hinges broke and some of the inside, and I had to purchase some new jewel cases. And of course, as I mentioned in my Empire Strikes Back video, this is my favorite Star Wars soundtrack. I cannot get enough of this one. Okay, it's funny, I say that and I don't listen to it much, but still, when I listen to it, I am crazy about this one. Then we got this one. You can see it's different from these two. It doesn't have the artwork on there. Well, that's because I think I didn't really want this one, but I was a completist at the time, and I remember when I even got it, I wasn't really excited. And it sucks too, because this is the longest Star Wars soundtrack at the time. 2.5 hours of music is on this, more than what's used in the film. And the reason why it has this right here, actually I should say, because there's 3 different editions of these soundtracks. There are these ones with a wonderful artwork in a jewel case. Then there were types in a kind of a book, a literal book with the annoying pockets that you slipped, that's love to scratch CDs. And even the artwork on the CDs for those book ones were different. They looked like, you could see outlines of Star Wars ships on there, or some sort of laser blast or something like that. But it was just your plain CD, prism like cover. I apologize. I don't know what the name of them were, but oh, you know what? This one's not going to have it. But that's how I heard these ones for the first time. I purchased Star Wars first, and then that's how I heard that one on its own for the first time. But then the library, the Timberland library, had the other ones in those book versions with the pockets, and the liner notes, pasted inside. You couldn't remove them. That's how I heard Empire Strikes Back, and I remember going crazy for it when you heard it. So yeah, here we are. So you had these ones, and then now as far as I know, the book ones always had these designs on them, the book type, and then you had these type, like I have Return of the Jedi here, in jewel cases, which was frankly more preferable. But yeah, by the time I finally purchased Return of the Jedi, this one right here, you can see it's got much better artwork than just this boring crap. This one was not easy to find anymore. And I thought, well, if I must own it, I just might as well get the one with the kind of bronze look, because it's got the same content as the other CD. It's just a different cover. So you can see this poor liner booklet. It's just the edges are frayed there, so I got to be so careful when putting them because of the notches that hold it in place. I'll just slip into the booklet. Anyway, I'll be back. I'm gonna put another music on. So the music playing now is the Elmer Bernstein Royal Philharmonic re-recording that he did back in the late 70s of Rocha's score for Madame Bovary. I've seen the film, wasn't a big fan of it. Not even a big fan of the score too, but it's got some good stuff in it. And I'm listening to works by Rocha right now, including his non-film stuff. So that's why you're hearing it. So back to Star Wars. Anyway. So yeah, I remember I was not excited to get this, and it was not one I listened to very much. And again, the special edition new tracks, the ones that were recorded in 1996, I was very unhappy with them. Later years, I finally picked up the LP over here for Return of the Jedi, which is the only LP of any Star Wars soundtrack I own, and I'll get to that why too now. So. Yeah, over time, my Star Wars is one. I mean, any of the Star Wars songs I don't listen to that much, but when I do, I enjoy them. And I especially even love the suites ever release of them, or selections like the Varese release with the Utah Symphony, the Star Wars Trilogy, which was the first time they had. Though I have a major disappointment with that CD too. A lot of it is focused on Return of the Jedi, and I'm just thinking, why? There's barely anything from Empire. And it's got the usual cues that have already been heard several times for the first film, Star Wars. But I love it because, you know, its performance is brilliant. You know, wonderful conducting. I can't pronounce the guy's name; it's a very unusual name. But the Utah Symphony plays it, you know, flawlessly. And then of course sorry. Then, of course, the National Philharmonic recordings, which of two of them I have. I have not managed to get Return of the Jedi yet. I've heard it, but I just haven't gotten it yet. You know, probably because Return's not my favorite one. But I still would like it. But yeah, the Star Wars music from Star Wars and Close Encounters, which is the first one. But still, you know, it's the RCA release with Charles Gerhardt and the National Philharmonic, and then the one that was recorded by first probably RCA when it came out, and then Varese picked it up. Oh, you know what? In fact, maybe no. I didn't think to grab them. I'm gonna grab them. Sorry, I figured I was talking about them. Might as well grab them. Like I said, I do not have Return of the Jedi, but so yeah. See, Close Encounters in Star Wars, National Philharmonic recording from RCA, and this one. I could have gotten the CD. It was reissued in 1997 on CD, but I didn't want it on CD because the CD I managed to rent from the library, and excuse me, I'm sorry. I had dinner recently, and it had new liner notes, but it said nothing about the recording, and it was focused more on the 1997 special edition releases. And I'm just going, I don't want to read about that. I want to read about the recording. They didn't have any liner notes. So I figured the only way I could read them was to get the original release, and it wasn't exactly hard to try and get the release. But Varese reissued it through their club label on LP, and I thankfully managed to get my hands on it. Just so smooth. You can see just there's not a wrinkle. I've kept good care of this LP. I don't want to put it in the plastic. This plastic becomes a nuisance. And it's got all these lovely liner notes in here. There's even the Ray Bradbury ones I don't really care about, but you got Christopher Palmer. Oh, the wonderful Christopher Palmer. And I miss his liner. He was taken from us too soon. Anyway, yeah, I was really excited to get this release, and even though the record player I had at the time didn't perform it at the right pitch, but you listen to it long enough, you kind of get used to it. Then, of course, when I figured out that how to hook my Bluetooth, through phone to CD player, I told you, I may have mentioned this in my first video, but me and technology don't always. I'm very slow. Sometimes I'm learning some of the simplest technology. I never wanted a cell phone for many years. Of course, I found out later their benefits. But yeah, I found I could listen to this, from YouTube Music because they have this release, and it would be the correct pitch. Eventually, we did get a record player that does play the pitch correctly, and that was a joy. So now, yeah, I can hear that, and it's correct pitch. And then, of course, the one I don't have, Return of the Jedi, but I would like to get my hands on it. It's getting tougher, though, despite the fact it's not the most popular CD. People sell it for a ridiculously high price. I could get it digitally, but I like to read the liner notes. So anyway, yeah, I love those recordings of Star Wars, and gradually I started appreciating LP programs too. And I was planning on purchasing the Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back LP set because people still sell them. Some higher price than others. I think Empire was always being sold more. And I don't know how I found this out. I think I just stumbled on it by accident. I really don't know how I stumbled across, and I'm so glad I did. Disney, for once, did something really, really good since they purchased a Star Wars property, or Lucasfilm, I should say. And that was reissue, right here, the original LP programs on CD. And when I read that was the case, lovely remaster, yeah, in 2018. So, of course, it even said remaster, and people, I think, were complaining that it was the LP program, while others were happy with the LP program, because, it's just unique. That's, the thing about, sure, they have edits, but they were done at the time that way, and it was a unique thing. They were exciting at the time. So, yeah, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, of course, backwards, Return of the Jedi. And I was so happy to see that I'm not going to get rid of the LP, obviously, with Return of the Jedi, because, it's an LP. You don't want to get rid of those. And it was just so nice to hear them in, clean and, okay, I take that back. I have no problem with clicks and pops from needle, so I'll shut up about that. I like that. But the point is, it was nice to be able to have them on CD, available, and would last longer than an LP. So, but seeing how I just don't care much for the full soundtrack of Return of the Jedi, my daughter does. She really enjoys the film, so I'll probably let her have it when she gets older. I am perfectly satisfied with this version here, and if I feel like, there are a couple cues that I like that aren't on this version, I can just then listen to this one, because this has Death of Yoda. That's a track I really like. It's the Death of Yoda, and yeah, I'll just be satisfied with those single disc releases, and more than happy, because like I said, I don't really listen to this one. When I do, I'm just, oh boy, it's just not my favorite one. Anyway, so yeah, those are all the releases of the Star Wars soundtracks that I know of and that I have anyway, and of course, I know there's some other re-recordings out there. I know John Williams conducted the it was just a regular orchestra that he rounded up together, but then I think he titled it the Skywalker Symphony or something, because he recorded it at the Skywalker Ranch, when John Williams conducted the same. Was it the very same one that the Varese one was based on the same program that the Varese one had. I don't know. I think it takes some cues from each one. They're the same arrangements that were, concert arrangements that were done for the re-recordings, not the concert arrangements on the album, not the album arrangements. So it says concert version. They're not those ones. They are the ones that you hear from the re-recordings that I think that were the re-recordings themselves even took them for, I think, actual concert performances. Which I know I always have a problem with the Throne Room and End Title re-recording. This one isn't the only one that has it. Everyone that picks up the concert version of that, I don't like it. It's just, my God, Williams, how much did you have to extend the Throne Room music and repeat the same pomp and circumstance fanfares? It's just, it goes on and on and on before it finally hits to the end credits music. I don't like that every single version that contains re-recordings of the Star Wars music has that annoying arrangement. And you even hear it. I think I heard it for the first time at the end credits of Return of the Sith, The Revenge of the Sith. Because Williams seemed to borrow a lot from his concert arrangements and put that in the end title, or even within the film. I think, when you hear the Imperial March, or no, they took it from music, I think, it is the Imperial March, but it's during the duel between Vader and Luke, and from Empire Strikes Back. There's one point edits it in there, and I think it's an edit you hear in one of these concert arrangements that were done, the National Philharmonic album. Through the window, the duel through the window, you hear one of those edits there during the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. So, Williams obviously borrowed heavily from that. You can just tell. Anyway, point is, I did not like the Throne Room arrangements that he did, just extending it and making it just repetitive, and then adding the Force theme in there just seems over the top. But, back to Williams' performance of the Star Wars films with whatever cues he used, because the CD is, I think nearly an hour long, if not over an hour long. I think Sony released it. I didn't care for his recording of it. It's weird. When Williams seems to re-record his own works, he seems to add these kind of abrupt cutoffs that aren't in his film soundtracks. And even in a lot of his Boss and Pops recordings of music that isn't his, he doesn't seem... The only way I can think of the music recordings just sound very... This might not make any sense, but blocky to me. I mean, like, there's no sustain, nothing seems connected. It's just the note seems just very, very separated most of the time. Even when notes are, slur the word, I'm forgetting my musical notation. Slur does not sound like the right word. It's got that over the note, when notes are connected, you're supposed to play, especially if you're supposed to play continuously, not separate them. Forgive me, I'm forgetting my musical notation, but it just, the way Williams re-recorded his music and others' music for his Boss and Pops recordings and other recordings, it just... I don't like him. It's very weird. Yeah, it's very, very weird. But like, compare his recording of his Boss and Pops recording of the Planets with, say, Andre Previn's Royal Philharmonic recording, or even more so, Bernard Herrmann's London Philharmonic recording, which I know people both either love it or you hate it, because I know he kind of slowed things down, but I frankly love Herrmann's recording of that piece. It's that sweet, and Williams, the way he records it, is just odd. It's like he does a different approach for his concert albums or re-recordings of certain film scores, if not his own, but including his own, I should say, compared to how he is with his actual film soundtracks. I don't know. I know there was a London Philharmonic Orchestra recording of Star Wars. You can find on YouTube. I was watching a Minty video of LPs he had, and he misread the orchestra as being the London Symphony Orchestra. It says right there London Philharmonic. And what's odd is that it doesn't only have Star Wars on it. It's got some. It's called, I think, Outer Space Suite or Outer. I don't know. It's very, very 70s. I mean, they add these very corny, cringy kind of science fiction sound effects like beeps and whoops with the orchestra, but the tempo too of the Star Wars music is so slow and slogs and sounds heavy. Yeah, just look up on YouTube Star Wars London Philharmonic recording. I don't know who the conductor was. The recording obviously was not probably very popular. I was so unimpressed and just somewhat amused but cringed just listening to the original music for written by whoever for the other side of the record. I'm sorry about all my ums, but it's just I don't have time to edit these videos, so I just kind of put them in as raw. So those are the only recordings offhand that I can think of. The ones I showed, the ones I mentioned, but didn't have because I don't care to own them, or I can't, or I just haven't been able to own them, like the Perez recording. I know there's two different ways you can get the Perez recording. You can get the LP. I think it was originally released as an LP. Then you get this fancy LP that Perez reissued on their site, their club site, or you can just get a CD, which is probably your cheapest option. And that's about it. So, yeah, apologize for all the getting things off and a few pauses I had to take. And since I'm done with Star Wars, I'll finally just discuss like other films or other film soundtracks. Yeah, it won't be Star Wars focused next time. Anyway, I'm sorry. Talk to you later.